everyone. Welcome to our latest episode of Innovation Unplugged, where we uncover the true stories behind today's most groundbreaking startups. I'm Jim Brisimitzis of Chasm Labs, and today we're going to do a deep dive into the transformative power of AI-driven search technology using our guest, Amir from Aiola, a company redefining how frontline workers and their workflows capture data through speech AI. In a world where efficient and accessible matter more than ever, Aiola is truly pioneering solutions that speak to everyone, literally. So if you're ready to explore how AI is giving a voice to operational change, let's get unplugged. Welcome, Amir Haramaty. It's a pleasure to have you here, founder and CEO of Aiola. Amir, I'll give you a minute to introduce yourself.
Thank you, Jim, and thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. I'm a serial problem solver. I've been always looking for big problems where we can come up with clever ideas, assemble people which are smarter than me. That's not the difficult part. And then just do something that brings value at scale. And I've been lucky enough to do it multiple times. 5 startups behind me before Aiola. And some of them were extremely successful. And actually, some of them were very relevant to the telcos we're going to talk about later. And in addition, for the last decade or so, I've been deeply involved in AI long before A and I became the most used and abused letters in the English language at present time. And 6 years working with one of the largest, most important management consulting firm, where I had a chance to be part of numerous engagements with Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies, and have a courtside seat, if you will, to see how the big promise of AI meeting the traditional enterprises, and it's not a pretty sight. And actually, I took a few takeaways from that actually led me to Aiola.
So on that, Amir, thank you again for the background. What was your inspiration around Aiola? What was the spark where you're like, I can't see this problem not being solved. I got to jump in and solve it. And then how did you go about thinking about how to solve it? Because what you've done with Aiola and the team has done isn't just about natural language processing, which I think oftentimes people want to kind of fit you into that bucket. You're bigger than that. The technology is bigger than that. So please share, what was the inspiration behind it and how you went about tackling it?
Absolutely. And I think there's several words here. And the first word is practical or practicality. Whatever we do, we have tremendous pride in technology, and you know why. But it's not about the technology with all due respect. It's about the impact it will generate. That's the first thing. Second, and those are the guidelines, okay? Second, with all the respect to technology, once again, we're dealing with people. And at the end of the day, we cannot forget it. You know, it just happened that this week alone, I had one session with a German manufacturer, old school, was founded in 1837.
Wow.
They're still around. They must be doing something right, okay? Yesterday, I gave a speech to the leadership of Volkswagen North America in San Francisco. Volkswagen, as I learned, was established in 1937, 87 years old. They must be doing something right. So rather than come and say, hey, you do everything wrong, let me tell you how to do it right, we develop great technologies that we come in and say, hey, how can we help you? How can we assist you to do things more efficient, safer, smarter, collaborative? So those are the 2 main elements. One, whatever we do has to be very practical. I always joke, and I know it's cheesy, but I mean it, that the 3 letters that I love the most in the English language is R-O-N-I. And as long as you can quantify it at scale, that's what this is all about, and connect it to EBITDA. And I have some great examples, so I'll be happy to share later. So those are the 2 elements. First, practicality, you can quantify impact. Second, respect to people. My mother told me all along, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Try to keep that proportion. Okay? So respect, be humble. And then understanding really now going deeper, what happened with AI, specifically in the last 36, 48 months is incredible. The evolution just unbelievable. But sometimes we are falling into a trap because as great as AI is, it's just a tool, okay? And we forget it. It's an incredible AI tool, but still just a tool. And what's really forced me, and not only me, I think that's common knowledge right now, that the biggest challenge right now, it's not an AI challenge, it's actually a data challenge. Because it's a known fact that the majority of data in the world is still not part of the game. Because it's uncaptured and unstructured. You have Lumen Field, I think, in downtown Seattle. and try to imagine only the nose-bleeding seats are populated. You have one tall at the end of the end zone and one side of this is the only seats which are occupied. Everything else is empty. That's the state of the data world right now when it comes to AI. So understanding to focus on data that will bring practical results and respecting existing processes, we're here to augment and enhance, not to disrupt. It's very, very important. Now, with those guidelines in mind, what we looked at and say, at the end, what we've been doing for the last several minutes, Jim, speech, by far, is the most natural and efficient means of communication. Nothing comes close to it. And eventually, unfortunately, just eventually, any human-machine interface will be voice first. But if you try to do it today in production floors, or do it on a sorting facility for supply chain, or oil rig in the North Sea, the combination of language, accents, acoustic environment, and above all, what we learned to be the biggest obstacle is the fact that any industry, at any company, at any location, they have a very specific jargon. That no automatic speech recognition ASR platform off the shelf was built, in all fairness, to handle it. And hence, when you deal with those scenarios, the biggest challenge is accuracy.
Right.
So how can we drive accuracy from sub 60, 65% to above 90, 95%? That was the goal, and we did. And even if we achieve that, we realize it's still not good enough because you are not interested in politics or news or sports. You really want to be able to extract the nuggets of critical information automatically. How do you separate the noise from the signal or the wheat from the chaff or whatever you want to call it? So we realized the two areas I want to focus on: get to accuracy by solving the jargon issue and then take care of the rest. And once I've done it, how can we get that automatic, what we call keyword spotting technology, to extract it? So that was my vision. And with that vision, I need to get some cautious stamp and get somebody who really understands the space, unlike me, that a speech expert that can look and say, you know what, you're onto something special. And I was search and I found out that actually one of the best experts in the world happens to be a neighbor in Israel, Professor Joseph Keshet from the Technion. At the time was leading the Alexa research at Amazon. And after spending several hours with Professor Keshet, he said, Amir, you're onto something. You haven't offered me a thing, but I already accepted. Tell me that you want me, and I will join you as a chief scientist, and he did. So that's the way we started. And then 6 months later, kudos to Professor Keshet, Dr. Hetz, and the great research team, we built what we believe to be the first ever ASRU platform, meaning we took automatic speech recognition, fuse it with natural language understanding, built from scratch to support more than 120 languages with any accent, any acoustic environment, and any specific jargon in any industry, in any process. And then we did on-device keyword spotting, combined both. And when the technology came out and we saw the initial results, we realized this is big. We didn't understand how big it is, but this is really big, and that's where the journey really started in earnest.
That's, of the many things to be really excited about with your technology, Amir, I think the fact that you're putting AI speech capabilities in ways that are natural to the users, the frontline workers, in jargon that the machines understand, so that you're not forcing the frontline workers to, retrofit themselves to the tool. The tool is basically shape-shifting to fit the frontline workers. I think that's really, really interesting. And if you kind of look to where NLP has come from, right? The latest, or not the latest, but the last big acquisition was Nuance when Microsoft acquired it for billions of dollars. You're right. Speech is going to be that natural user interface in the future. But the fact that you've done so much work using AI to truly understand speech for workers and their languages and their jargon, I think, is what differentiates you. There really isn't anyone or any other provider out there of that technology that I've seen.
So what we have done, and we are very proud of it, and by the way, each one of those parts, the jargon, the accuracy, the keyword spotting, we immediately registered patents. We have deep IP on each one of them. But I tell you, it's not just the machine learning. Humans are too, okay? And that's part, you and I in offline discussions, we talk about the journey, because it's not like, you put a blueprint before you start and just stick to it from beginning to end. You have to be agile. You have to adjust on the fly. You have to understand what's working, what's not working. And I don't like to call the word pivot because I don't think it's pivoting. It's an adjustment. Okay, good management, good leader, always been measured or judged by the ability to read the field and be one step ahead. So what happened here? We created this incredible accuracy, and then we took it to speed, and then we were able to outperform any technology out there for keyword spotting. Amazing. But so what, Jim? We have these amazing ingredients, but we need to make something out of it. I have a stupid self-made joke that's not even funny, but I wanted to illustrate the story to my team at the time. I said, we have a French chef, French ingredients, and French kitchen. We must do better than a French toast or French fries. So we took that, and I realized, because at the time, I called my team and I said, guys, how much data do we need in order to generate a language model? And they said, oh, we need this and we need that and we need an LLM. And I said, hold on a second. And I was sitting there and actually was drinking coffee. And if you talk about the OpenAIs of the world and Mr. Outs of the world, incredible technology, but if I try to oversimplify, they're constantly using brute force to constantly boil the ocean, and then you get derivatives out of it. And I say, why do I need to boil the ocean in order to make coffee? All I need is that much water, okay? That's it. And then we flip it around, and I say, actually, you know what? I want to slice it. I'm not going to just give you one language model for everything. You have now a specific workflow, a specific process, a specific form. All I need from you is just one example. That's it. A list of keywords. I don't care what language. Can be in Kazakhstan and a tire manufacturer, okay? That we don't speak. And in less than 2 hours, Jim, without being dependent on client data, because again, privacy, GDPR, et cetera, we are going to generate a language model for that specific exact same form that he's been used to working for years, either by paper or digitally. In less than 2 hours, he or she are going to get a language model with accuracy that starts north of 95%, that can be deployed on any Android or iOS device and easily integrated to any ERP or CRM system you have in place. So that's where we took it from the great technology and we assembled it to a platform we call Jargonic, it's trademark, that generate those language models at scale in less than 2 hours.
So you're describing the onboarding process. We have listeners who are enterprise clients, buyers, that I think will be keen to understand what is that onboarding experience? What does that look like? So at a high level, you source some jargon in whatever languages from clients, and you're using that to train the model. You also mentioned ERP CRM. So Aiola sits between and is arguably the speech connective glue of the frontline worker interacting with applications, ERP, CRM, or what have you, in their current languages with jargon. Is that the correct sort of onboarding experience?
First of all, it's absolutely correct, and actually generate a dual opportunity, and I'll explain why. One is for the enterprises. But second, all of a sudden you realize you got the Oracles of the world, the SAP of the world, the Salesforce, the BMC, ServiceNow, etc. Those are incredibly smart, sophisticated, complex data platforms. But they're always going to be as good as the data. And what we have done here is the ability to capture data by speech. So it's faster, more accurate, more natural, more efficient. And so it's bigger, faster, more accurate, and real time. So now both sides are winning because one, I'm working right now, it's not a secret, with some of the logos I just mentioned in multiple projects to help them independently of what we're doing for the enterprises, just to be part as an SDK of their product that will allow them to capture data more naturally or better because they're always going to good as the data. But going back to the enterprises, this week, we've been working together for some time. You know me, you know us. Mm-hmm. And I purposely, in this case, I'm mentoring a lot of young startups. And one of the key components when I'm preaching to a young startup is focus, 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 focus. And you know it, I do exactly the opposite here. Because I realize this is a rare case where we have a completely horizontal, flat platform that we don't care which vertical. We bump into food safety. I knew nothing about food safety. And all of a sudden I realized food safety alone, it's a $100 billion a year business, okay, with a B. Which, for example, every morning before they start the day, they have to complete a process they call pre-op inspection. until now, most of those companies have 20 pages at 4:30 in the morning. A group of inspectors have to inspect it. It takes on average 2 hours, and those 2 hours production is idle. And we say, hey, why don't we turn it to speech-based, hands-free, paperless? They're going to walk and talk, and the forms will be filled. And all of a sudden, we did a pilot. It went from 2 hours to 53 minutes. To give an extra hour of free production for this razor-thin industry, or razor-thin margin industry, it's dramatic, Jim. But that was only the first part, because what happened next, we took 100% paper that went nowhere to 100% green knowledge that now becomes an incredible raw material of data that previously was uncaptured and unstructured. And now you can connect the dots beyond what the human eye can see, what the human brain can process. And after 2 weeks of doing that, that specific company, the first product they produce every year for the last 30 years was breakfast sausages. Why? Because. And after 2 weeks of data, the data was screaming, say, actually, it leaves more residue. That should be the last product of the day. Duh. You don't know what you don't know. You don't get the right answer unless you ask the right question. And all of a sudden, in addition to the efficiency gains, now we created an evergreen, ever learning because of the quality of data that we capture of insights and intelligence. And so we did it with a leading food manufacturer. But then I was approached by a supermarket chain. Talk about razor-thin margin, it's less than 3%. And they wanted to inspect, they have to inspect the temperature of the meat inside the refrigerator. It's highly mandatory, highly regulated process by the Ministry of Health. And we turn it, and again, it's French-Canadian, it's a very difficult language. Actually, my chairman is from Montreal, he said, Amir, don't touch it. The magnitude of the challenge versus the size of the market doesn't make sense. So he lives in Montreal and he claims he doesn't understand what they say in Quebec City. So we took that, and first of all, we proved to ourselves, we ran a quick pilot, and we were 0.01 error rate, so 99% accuracy. So, okay, we can do it. And then we took that process that now an hourly employee's Jim, I'm not talking about sophisticated labor, an hourly employee going with a temperature gun and reading out loud in French Canadian, and that information in real time is being inserted to the form and being integrated to the backend system. And when we completed the pilot, they came back to me and said, Amir, just with that single function, we just saved 110,000 hours a year on 600 stores that went directly to EBITDA. And the last example I give for now, I always felt that will be great for pharma. But we didn't have the right opportunity, and finally one represented itself with a very large $48 billion pharma company. And they were smart. They said from the very beginning, we want to test it in 3 different countries, in Indonesia, in Brazil, and in Philadelphia. It's a different country, in Philadelphia. But Tuesday morning, this week, 4 a.m., we are at the end of the pilot, and we're letting, and this is the point, I'm going full circle to the users. What I love the most, the people who presented were not us or executives. They were the actual users, talking about their experience. And actually, they did an amazing video to tell the world about their experience. And the bottom line is a process that took before 900 minutes, now completed in 430 minutes, number one. Number two, in that process, they have to capture knowledge. So basically, until now, on average, they capture 4.2 words. With Aiola, by speech, it went to 11.7 words. So there is a dual impact. We cut or improve efficiency by double, by cutting half the time needed. And we more than double the amount of knowledge collected. And that's the beauty of it. How can you take it to different industries? And one thing which I'm very proud to announce officially for the first time, by the way, because it happened yesterday, we started to talk to one of the largest airlines in the world. And the largest airline in the world, not only that became a client, now became also a strategic investor in Aiola. And we mapped already more than 60 different use cases across 7 or 8 different divisions. So I love the fact it's all about going back to what we said in the beginning. Remember, it's all about practical AI. It's all about people. And it's all about getting better data and the ability to demonstrate the impact across different industries, different languages, different geographies, with the same common theme about those 3 elements.
And I think it's a little bit more than that too, my friend, as you've so well described in the last few minutes. It is about the technology fitting how workers work. right? And the jargon piece, I don't want to continue harping on it, but it underscores the value and the differentiation of your platform. It truly is, shape shifting to workers and how they work. And it's amazing the impact that you've created on the enterprise side as well. It's pretty clear.
And just quick comment, because I work with management consulting company. If I'm going to hear those two words one more time, digital transformation, truly I'm getting an allergic reaction all over my skin. But forget the big words. What are we doing, Jim? We're actually transforming one process or one floor at a time in a non-threatening approach. And you're absolutely right. Actually, where I presented yesterday to Volkswagen, the title of that event was The Future of Work. That's exactly where this is all heading. But we're doing that because there's another thing here, because a lot of startups, and I've been there, that develop incredible technology. Where are you going to apply this technology? I-end, to the NVIDIAs of the world, to the Apple, to et cetera. We went to the basics. We went to the foundation. We went to and in a way, I feel like we are a conduit that help those traditional enterprises to reshape the future and in a non-threatening way, in a very comfortable setting. Everything is value-based solution, which is measured. I always say the two biggest friends I have, first of all, is the user, because without him, nothing's going to happen. Second is actually the CFO.
Yes. The new CFO, someone in the enterprise world that I had spoken to earlier this week said is indirectly the new CFO is becoming the new CIO. Not because they're setting technology direction, but they are the purse keeper. And they have influence over that. So last question, my friend, we've covered a lot of ground. As you know, here at Chasm Labs and our premier program, the 5G Open Innovation Lab, is really about creating a vast ecosystem for the telecom industry to really participate in that world, a world they've largely been left out of in the past. Voice is it's right in the corner of what the carriers are so well positioned for. I'm curious to get your perspective on any of engagements that you've driven in the telecommunications world and where you see that opportunity for carriers, because you're in the world of voice, a place that they understand very well. You're in the AI world, a place that they're all sort of gravitating to and trying to figure out their role in that as well. But I'd love to get your perspective on that.
I tell you, guilty as charged. I worked a lot with carriers, and I survived to tell people about it. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's a great experience if you do it right. Okay. And that's my personal experience. So one of the companies that I built in Silicon Valley, a company that's called Zora, we partnered at the time, 2003, way ahead of our time, with Nextel, and then became Sprint, and then with Verizon and AT&T. So I worked with all the US carriers, and then I worked with Telstra in Australia, and then I started to work with others, which was a great experience. Absolutely. We took the workforce management element to the field through the carriers network. Then one of the companies we sold, a company called Amobi, we sold to Singtel from Singapore. And then I learned that Singtel is actually, it's a company with a country. In Singapore, there are 5 million citizens. Singtel has 500 million subscribers, at least at the time, from India to Australia. And I learned to appreciate the fundamental power and importance of telcos. Then there's a chapter that, I'll let other people put the title on top of it, talk about becoming dumb pipes, et cetera, et cetera. Never mind, but I think there were, and you know it very well, a few missed opportunities. But it doesn't take away from the strategic position that those telcos have. And, if you fool me once, the shame on me and shame on you thing, but if you fool me twice, it's okay to make mistakes. But then to realize, we right now facing, I was giving a presentation to UBS Bank. They invited me for the selected few private tech companies. And I asked them to turn the light on the crowd. And I said, how many of you guys covered the agriculture? No, you're too young to cover the agriculture revolution. So how many of you guys covered the industrial? Oh, you're too young for that either. Guys, we are very fortunate, all of us, to be around when arguably the biggest revolution, the AI revolution, is touching and will touch every aspect of our life. Drop everything. Conventional wisdom doesn't apply here. So what I'm trying to say in regard to the telco, never mind the scars they collected along the years, but they still have the pipes, they still have the copper, they still have the towers, they still have the infrastructure, okay? Now, they're in an amazing position to leverage technologies which are non-threatening, okay, and absolutely no-brainer like speech. So anything they to do from field service to deployment to everything to do maintenance, but not only that, actually I believe they can bring unique value proposition to their clients, to their channels, with a combination, because it's not just providing right now, a great data plan or giving you some kind of communication plan. No, I'm actually bringing you value. And it's all, what is telco? Telco, first of all, is a telecommunication company. What is communication? We all agreed. Speech by far. So speech is the most natural element for a telco.
Totally. It's right in their backyard.
Exactly. So now, hey guys, you already have the infrastructure, the human infrastructure, the clients, the tech in the ground, in there, and in the towers. This is, in my view, it's a natural extension that's going to amplify the unique value proposition that telco can offer to their clients.
Yeah, and that's that is quintessentially the opportunity here for the carriers, as you mentioned. Keep the tribal knowledge, but the rules of what has taken carriers to the point where they are today fundamentally change. Those boundaries erase, and it's technologies like yours that bring newfound value on top of legacy businesses that were, let's say, one directional. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, speech is a big deal, my friend, in today's day and age, and AI in speech and how you've all brought that together at Aiola is truly unique. Thank you so much for your time. This wraps up our conversation with Amir. Thank you so much again for sharing your insights with us, Amir. We appreciate it, and for giving us a glimpse into how you guys are using AI to drive speech technology and transform industries. Clearly, it's making an impact. For our listeners, if you're intrigued by the potential of speech AI, be sure to follow Aiola's journey. And Amir, where can they follow all the great things that are happening with Aiola today?
Simple enough. So first of all, Aiola, which is AIOLA, which, by the way, when people ask me, it's not Aioli, it's a AI operating layer. That's what it stands for. .com, and it's very simple. By the way, I'm always accessible, and I'm happy to receive feedback and questions and comments, and my email is super simple. I'm not going to regret it. Here's my email address. It's Amir, AMIR, @Aiola.com. More than happy to share more about what we do. And we haven't even talked about it, but what we have done is just the beginning. It's just the tip of the iceberg, and there's a lot coming. So the best is yet to come, Jim.
And we'll be doing everything we can to promote the best of what's to come in the future. So thank you again, Amir. Remember, Innovation Unplugged is your go-to for uncovering stories just like Amir's that drive impactful change. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review. We'd love to hear your feedback, and share this episode with anyone that is passionate about that intersection of AI and speech and enterprise innovation. Today's episode is spot on for that. So until next time, keep innovating and stay unplugged. Again, thank you, Amir. We appreciate you spending time with us today.